Hello, everybody. It's Akeem again with the Grande Prairie Local Business Connection. Got another great interview for you with Don Murray of Richmond's Dry Cleaners, and he's just going to tell us a little bit about his story and how the pandemic has affected his business. Welcome, Don.
Thank you, Keem.
So I guess we'll just start with a quick question. Are you local to Grande Prairie, or are you from somewhere else? Or how did you get here?
Well, originally born and raised in Fairview, Alberta, a little over an hour north of here. I've been in Grande Prairie since 1992.
All right. I guess we could call you a veteran at this point.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. Okay, so we know it's Richmond's Dry Cleaners, but how did you start your business?
Well, Richmond Dry Cleaners has been around since 1961, probably the oldest dry cleaner in Grande Prairie.
Wow.
And still in the original location. The original location was actually right beside in the parking lot, right beside us to the west is where the original building was. And then in 1979, they built the Schubert building and moved Richmond into here. We took over in 2013. And you know what? Started with a phone call. I've always wanted to own my own business, and it started out with a phone call, and I said, "What do you think?" And that's where it all started. The owner that we took over from, was getting out. My idea was more just to be the financial backer of it, but they were getting out. So I, after leaving Doug Marshall for 20 years, came here and started to learn the laundry industry. Laundry 101 is what I call
it. Yeah, it's a very important industry, I'd say. I like even more so now. Like we've talked about certain opportunities for me to use your services, but you don't necessarily realize, at least I didn't before, how important it is to have good launders in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a science like every other profession out there. It's all a science. It's not like just throw some water on and some soap and then dry them. Like there's a science to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess there was a learning curve when you got into this business.
Yeah, unbelievable learning curve. The like I've been managing business for 25 years before this, but I had to learn this business, and even today, there's always something new I'm learning every day. So the first year was the huge learning curve where I call it was straight up in the air, and then it kind of started to taper off after that to maybe the 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
But I've always been surrounded around great, successful people in the industry, and here at Richmond with long-term team members, and so it's been a lot of fun, and still that's my highlight of the day is coming to work in the morning and seeing the smiles on our team.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a sign of a good leader. You're looking for the smiles on your team too, because they ultimately, if you've got happy employers, you're more likely to have happy customers as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it goes all the way through.
Yeah, for sure. So was there a specific motivation to start this business, or was it just kind of like it was just the opportunity, or was it a passion?
It was the opportunity. I've always loved business itself, but it was the opportunity. I guess the next chapter in life. And, I'm always looking for a smile factor. I love putting smiles on people's faces. And a new challenge.
Sure.
And so that's what I really enjoyed.
Sure.
About it so far. But we've taken a well-run company since 1961 and just taken it to the next level.
Awesome. I'm gonna guess here that you guys are like experts in stain removal. You must be.
We are. Yeah. You know what? It's we take pride. When you look on our rack from our fine dry cleaning, And you don't see very many notes. And what I mean by that is, people bring something in with a stain on it. Well, they own the stain, right? It's what we're trying to do is get the stain out that they brought in. So, you know what, comments that we've gotten, people are frustrated, they always get a note on my stuff and they can't get the stain out. And, I have colleagues, Southern Alberta, Southern Northern BC, Saskatchewan, even have colleagues down in Ontario, different dry cleaners and the struggles they have, with getting stains out. And you know what, we're always putting our heads together and trying to find a solution. You know what, we treat every garment like it's our own, so how would we want to receive it back?
Absolutely.
And so we take pride in that. So you see very, very few notes saying, we're sorry, we couldn't get the stain out. Does it happen? Yeah, sure it happens. You know what? There is the odd stain that nobody can get out. But you see very, very few because we treat it like it's our own. And we want the smile on our client's face when they come in to pick it up, because that's the whole reason they brought it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that you say like you treat it as your own. I have a very similar philosophy with any of my rental things that I've got going on. Like I always treat it like if I wouldn't live here myself, I wouldn't put it on the market. I 100% agree with you. And I hope maybe that should definitely help like some other business owners and just in a mentality, right? Our method is always service first. Get happy customer and you're going to benefit in the end. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about smile factor.
yeah, for sure. So given this current time with the pandemic, COVID-19 spread and all of this, obviously it's affecting every single one of us across the country and the world, but how has it specifically affected you and your business?
Well, you know what, from before everything started to change in our world, say 4 to 6 weeks ago, our clients, say on the fine dry cleaning side, were coming in and they were getting their shirts clean, their suits dry clean, etc. They were putting in the $1 million collars in their dress shirts because they were looking good to be in front of their clients. So now it's kind of shifted, like today instead of doing a personal meeting, sitting across the desk from each other, we're doing a Zoom meeting.
Awesome.
And so we still have clients coming in, amazingly enough, to get their dry cleaning done, and they're getting the $1 million collar put in because they still want to look good in front of their computer. So we see that something we've seen a big shift in. People are bringing in their clothes on a more regular basis. Rather than say wearing a pair of pants 3 times, like we would in society, they're bringing them in every time. Trying to stay clean. With our cleaning methods in both our dry cleaning and our wet cleaning, we can get to the different temperatures, the higher temperatures, more than you can at home. And that's what kills the viruses and bacteria, is those temperatures. When you're not getting your garments up to those temperatures, all you're really doing is stirring and really activating the viruses and bacteria, whereas we're killing it. So, we find people are bringing stuff in more often and staying cleaner. And, that's the biggest thing, is staying clean, from washing your hands to proper sanitization.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned Zoom there, and I guess every single one of us is starting to use Zoom. I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings, phone calls, conference calls that I've done in the last 4 weeks. It's phenomenal. So obviously Zoom as a business is doing very well, but you're absolutely right. Like, part of the key to this whole thing is just maintaining the sanitary standards in our homes and our workplaces. So you're definitely able to help people do that. And I just want to comment, actually, because just being a customer myself, I know like I've brought linens there before, and I noticed that you had a sign up on the door that said, one person in at a time, so that we're maintaining that distance. I noticed that your workers are wearing masks and gloves, and they're keeping their distance. So obviously you're making efforts to keep people safe, number one, keep your workers safe, and be able to provide your service. So that's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're constantly wiping counters down, doorknobs, glass, any place where clients can touch, constantly, several times during the day, wiping them down. We've got the shield up in front of our computer. We're running a touchless system. So, I mean, we're hanging the garments, or, in the industrial side of it, the coverall side, setting them down. So there's no physical contact, either with the clients as well, to protect them and to protect us.
Yeah. Well, it's a testament to the standard that you maintain for your business. I just speak for myself when I say this, and I appreciate that you guys are doing that, because I know when I walk in there and you see the cleanliness up front, and that's just an example, that whatever garments or linens or anything you're dropping off there is going to be treated with the same care, right? So that's really good. So with that said, obviously we've covered a lot here. Is there anything that maybe has shifted for you where when things get back to normal, you think you'll continue or make additional changes after this whole pandemic's over?
Interesting enough, probably about 5 years ago, we put in the alcohol sanitizing stations all around our store and our plant. And we've been practicing that for 5 years.
Awesome.
And you know what, we're just going to, I guess, maybe be more aware. What this has really brought to us is just to be more aware of our surroundings, and not take things for granted. And it's, it's like, when you're talking to somebody on the phone and you can tell if they're smiling or not.
Yeah.
Some people think that's crazy, but you can tell if they're smiling or not. And for us, it's just spread the smile factor. So you know what? If we're spreading it with cleanliness, if we're spreading it with great hygiene, trying to set good examples for everybody out there and small business out there, everybody can grow from it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So, you're definitely setting a standard. I just want to reiterate that. That's very good. So, I know my wife's been impressed with you guys too, and her standard is super high. She keeps a very clean house. But it helps also take a load off of, by using your services, taking the load off of your home washer and dryer units. If you have like larger loads and things that take time, it's definitely a benefit. I know we appreciate the service you guys provide, so thank you.
Absolutely. And we've seen a huge influx of like the comforters and duvets and blankets coming in, even if you can get them into your own household washer, with it, you're not getting to the temperatures that you need to kill the viruses. So and we've got the bigger machine, so even, so you need that agitation, that room for the garment to work around, and for your solutions and everything to be able to work it around, because if it's stuffed in there, well, it can't get clean. So, and that's where we come in.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, I guess that kind of concludes our interview, unless there's anything else that you wanted to say.
No, you know what? We appreciate everybody in Grande Prairie and area. Like we've got depots in Spirit River and Fairview as well. And you know what? Everybody just needs to be a part of the solution. And Richmond Dry Cleaners, as well as all of small business in Grande Prairie and surrounding areas, we just need to band together and be a part of the solution.
Yeah, right on. I agree. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and participating with me and with the other viewers here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, team.